The past year has been difficult and at the same time glorious, but in the mainstream media, we don't see what has been accomplished. What we see are only chaos and darkness, but on the contrary, we can see that the Communist Party in China, the dictator government that covered up the pandemic and caused it to spread around the world, actually did something good. And why is that? On December 29th, a story in the National Pulse revealed the secrets of the mainstream media. The performance of mainstream media in this election has discredited the uncrowned king in our minds. The mainstream media are even unquestionably chanting a song for the authoritarian government of the Chinese Communist Party. And what caused this to happen? One reason is that many of the mainstream media have received disguised benefits from the China-US Exchange Foundation, the CUSEF, in the form of sponsored trips to China, and at other times they received private dinners in exchange for favorable coverage and to disseminate positive messages for China. You may think, it's just a free trip and a few dinners. What's the big deal? How much of a difference can it really make? Well, the trips and dinners arranged by the CCP officials are not like usual trips with our families or parties with our friends. There are many special programs. There are monetary benefits for sure, such as the opportunity to expand into China's huge market. There are also a lot of special services too. Remember, for example, those disturbing photos and videos found on Hunter Biden's laptop computer. A lot of them happened in China. Who arranged those girls? Who filmed them? The copy in Hunter Biden's computer was most certainly not the only copy before John Paul McIsaac made other copies. Then, wouldn't the party who set up those incidents use the videos and photos to control the person in the videos and photos? I'm not making up stories. Here is something revealing by a French intelligence officer. A top French drug researcher had an affair. The next day, he saw a video in his hotel room about the night. From then on, in the words of the CCP, he has shown a high degree of cooperation. The book Hidden Hand exposes how the Chinese Communist Party is reshaping the world. Told a story about Ian Clement, the right-hand man of the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. When Clement was mayor of London, Ian was responsible for government and external relations. He visited Beijing in 2008 as deputy mayor of London and was approached by a beautiful Chinese woman at the opening night party of the Olympic Games. After a few drinks, she agreed to go to the hotel with him. He must have thought it was his lucky night. Then, by the time he woke up in the room, the luck was over. He found the woman already dressed and ready to leave. Everything in the room had been gone through, including his wallet, but no money was missing. The data in his BlackBerry had all been downloaded. He later chose to expose his experience, so to avoid being held hostage by it for the rest of his life. Okay, now that you know what the CCP trips and the parties are all about, let's get back to the mainstream news itself. As evidenced by the Department of Justice's Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA filings, the relationship between China-US exchange and the mainstream media has operated for more than a decade. Which mainstream media outlets have participated in these sponsored trips to China? The list is as follows: Vox, Slate, Boston Herald, Boston Globe, Huffington Post, The Atlantic, Fox News, New York Times, NPR, CNBC, Newsweek, Los Angeles Times, Baltimore Sun, Chicago Tribune, The Guardian, New Yorker Magazine, Financial Times, Foreign Policy, Philadelphia Inquirer, New York Magazine, Yahoo Finance, National Journal, Washington Post, Forbes, Bloomberg, Minneapolis Star Tribune, U.S. News and World Report, San Francisco Chronicle, the Philadelphia Inquirer, Harvard Business Review, Capitol Hill, Chicago Magazine, and MSNBC. In addition to trips sponsored by the China-United States Exchange Foundation, Media outlets participated in private dinners with the communist officials in New York, Washington, D.C., and Chicago. They are as follows: Washington Post, Associated Press, Time Magazine, New York Times, CBS, Forbes, PBS, The Atlantic, The Economist, CNBC, Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, National Journal, NPR, Politico, Chicago Tribune, Bloomberg, BBC, Los Angeles Times, Quartz, Agency France Press, McClatchy Newspapers, Congressional Quarterly, Business Weekly, CNN, Capitol Hill, Reuters, ABC, The National, Yahoo News, and Newsweek. What a shocker. Look around us and see how many other media outlets are still left and not on the list. President Trump sees the Chinese Communist Party as the greatest threat to the United States, and it is no wonder that the Chinese Communist Party is doing everything in its power to stop his re-election. And the media, our once proud fourth estate, has joined the Washington swamp in a humiliating role.